All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back. We have a great episode for you. And if you didn't know, this is
the Hey Poopy Podcast with
Dave
and Ellen, two curious people who are
removing the stigma from your stinker.
Yes, we are. I said that to somebody yesterday that I met for the first time, and my mutual friend was like, hey, my friend has a podcast, and he's like, oh, what's it about? And I was like, and I gave him our tagline, and he was like, that's really good. Wow. And I was like, thanks.
That's good, yeah.
Listen to the show.
This episode 118, for those listening at home, we have the amazing Amy Motzny, who was a Watershed Manager at the Gowanus Canal Conservancy. So Ellen and I learned a lot about what happens when it rains in New York City.
Yeah, we did. We found out that while it's raining in New York, only 1 inch of rainwater, it then fills the sewers so much that it spills over into our ocean. So there is human poop in the oceans only after 1 inch of rain.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
disgusting.
If you live in New York as long as we have, you do know that you don't go to the beach after a day after it rains, because you're going to be covered in all kinds of shit. Literally. You're going to get condoms, wrappers, cigarette butts. I mean, it's kind of gross. So give it a few days, then go to the beach.
God.
Yeah, it's horrible. But they are working on things.
Telling us about the history of the sewer, and she has an education in sewers and started off in another city, but then came to the greatest city in the world, New York, to deal with the Gowanus cleanup and the Newtown Creek cleanup. And yes, that stuff is disgusting.
Yeah. She's doing like all the work that we all should be doing. So give it up for her, because it's a mess down here. I mean, it's a mess all over the country and pretty much the world, but she is actually doing the work that needs to get done. So we think
she also taught us that when it does rain in New York, we shouldn't be flushing the toilet or showering.
Yeah.
So I know it's easier said than done, especially if you have someplace to go, but that adds to the sewers just filling up and spilling over.
Yeah. Blech. Everything gets overtaxed. And the other day it was raining and I completely forgot, and I flushed the toilet and I took a shower. So my bad.
I've really been doing if it's yellow, let it mellow kind of thing a little bit more these days. So
that's good. My household, everything has to get flushed, because my wife is just like, what is your problem? So yeah, you got to pick.
You could say you're saving the sewers from spilling into the ocean.
Yeah, I could say that, but it's not really going to work here. She's like, we do other things. So yeah, but yeah, it's a great episode filled with tons of facts about sewer systems, what we can do to mitigate some of those issues, and what the city's actually doing to take care of that. There's such as planners. There's all these really cool planners around the city that have been set up by the city that kind of help with like runoff with water and everything. So it's those small little steps.
Also, everybody, do you subscribe to Hey Poopy Podcast? Have you told a friend about us? Have you checked out our brand new Patreon?
Yes, Patreon, baby. It's where all the cool kids are.
Yeah. Patreon is the only place that a week before we interview a guest, we post who that guest is, and you can ask them some questions.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool.
It's true fan interaction.
Yeah. Also, do you have more than just questions for us? Do you have stories of you pooping your pants or your friend pooping their pants, and you need to tell us? Why don't you email us at heypoopypodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can give us a call at 203-998-5579. Hey, if you want to fart into your phone, we'll play it.
Yeah, we have in the past.
Yeah, so you can be a fart star.
Become one of those fart stars, or a butthead, or even a perfect 4 on our Patreon.
Yeah, we got you covered, top to bottom. Ellen's got some awesome Hey Poopy reviews to read for you.
Yes, please, y'all. Leave a review for the Hey Poopy Podcast, and we will read it, like this one by Hank Sinatra Jr. 5 stars. I came for the cringe, and I stayed because it's genuinely awesome. Thanks, Hank Sinatra Jr.
Thanks, Hank. That's the best AKA name ever. Oh my God, that's so good. Enjoy this episode. If you like playing with poo, now you can finally do it in public with the Poo Pocalypse card game.
Created by comedians, Poo Pocalypse is kind of like if Uno and Exploding Kittens had a big poopy baby.
Poo Pocalypse is surprisingly strategic and full of crappy characters like Abraham Lincoln Log, Cleopatra, and Attila the Runs.
It's fun for immature people of all ages, like me and you, Dave. I played it. I love it. I can't wait for you and me, Dave, to play it together in person post-pandemic.
It's going to be really fun. And the games, I mean, everything about this game is fantastic. The illustrations, and it's loaded with tons of puns. So if you like poo puns, this is the game for you.
Poo Pocalypse is currently running 10% off discounts on Amazon right now.
So if this game sounds like your kind of crap, search Poo Pocalypse on Amazon today.
We all want to feel fresh and clean after going number 2, but using wipes, even so-called flushable ones, can cause major clogging issues. Introducing Qleanse. That's Qleanse with a Q.
Which transforms your ordinary toilet paper into a truly flushable and eco-friendly wipe.
This cleansing foam is the perfect partner for your toilet paper at home or out on the go.
Visit Qleanse.com. That's Qleanse.com to get yours today.
Listeners can use the code HeyPoopy for 15% off your first order. Try Qleanse for yourself and discover a better way to wipe clean.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
I'm just, trying to find a place with like-minded people to talk about like-minded things about me, about poop and stuff.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's this right here? Is this a podcast about poop?
And now, the Hey Poopy Podcast.
Yes, we are back on this dump day.
Dump Day! This is Hey Poopy Podcast with
Dave?
and Ellen, and it's episode 118, but it'll always be number 2 to us.
Yes.
Our very, very favorite near and dear number.
It's a good number.
It's a very good number. Celebrating your stinkers, people. Anyway, so we have a fabulous guest today. It's Amy Motzny of the Gowanus Cleanup. Yes, people, you have been wanting to know, and here you go.
Yeah.
But before we go into, are there dead bodies in the guana? We always go into, Amy, how have you been pooping recently? Oh, we lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
I can.
Now we can hear me. Okay. Thank you for asking. Typically I think I'm about a 4 on the Bristol scale. I'm pretty regular.
Ooh, nice.
Things are usually very consistent. I eat pretty healthy. But I think I'm a little nervous today for this interview. So I'm more like a 5 today, just a...
Still pretty good.
A little
pretty good,
loose in
though.
the
Still pretty good.
Okay. Ellen, how have your poops?
Lucy.
Yeah, loose in the caboose for sure.
A little bit. I need some fiber today, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's 2 kinds of fiber out there. One that pushes it through, one that binds it up. So get that kind that binds
Get yourself some fiber.
together. What?
I said get yourself some fiber.
Exactly. Dave, what about you? Did you?
I did poop today, early this morning. I don't know if I was just thinking about, before we started the show, we were talking about how Ellen, with her director's hat, we've been filming some stuff around, which you people will see very soon. Well, actually, you're going to see it by the time this episode comes out. But regardless, for the sake of this show, she's been working very hard on an awesome little project. And I don't know if I was nervous from that and just not getting, I feel like I didn't sleep that well last night. And I just had a weird nervous stomach kind of poop. Like, kind of like a 6, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Only once?
Did I go again? I might have had another one. It was all kind of a blur because I got up this morning and did like yoga. I I had 2 because I remember I had to stop in the middle of yoga and go to the bathroom.
Those downward dogs make it come.
Yeah, for sure. Everything's going down and out. So yeah, twice.
Splatter poo confetti like.
Yeah, it was not. It was not consistent. It was pretty gross.
Oof.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it was Amy was talking about like a little nervousness mixed in. So yeah, But I'll right the ship, as they say.
It was a very busy day, Dave.
It was.
We were recording. I was actually recording a video, but I was actually a little bit late because my sphincter decided it needed to open up 3 whole times before I left the house this morning. One time, I was literally on the phone with Veterans Affairs. That's another story. I'm not a veteran. I'm dealing with that for my father. And I had to put it on mute while I blasted my ass off. Then another time was I literally got in the shower and I'm showering and I was like, what, really? This is really going to happen. I hate pooping before shower. Yes. Pooping after shower. Bad. Pooping during shower. No. So I was like, maybe I can like hold it and, you know, like as Cardi B says, when it's up, then it's stuck. So then I was nervous. What if I get constipated by holding it? But I'm like, I can't. I gotta just quickly shower and get. So a fart squeaked out while I was in the shower. And I don't know about you guys, but shower farts, I think, are the most deadly farts ever. I think it's like the humidity and just the fact that you're naked and like there's no clothing to like filter that awful, horrible. Like I was like, what did I eat yesterday that died inside of me? Like, just croaked. The only thing I could think of that made me, besides me having nervous belly, was I ate a cucumber that was a little suspect. So maybe that just was like, whoosh.
Yeah.
So then, right before I left the house, pooped again. All of these were actually not bad. Like, they sound like I had like real like mud butt, but it was more like a really thin lot of like Bristol fours. So then when Dave and I were like filming some stuff, I was like, I gotta pee. And as everybody knows from the show, when I have to pee really badly, poo-poo sometimes falls out. So at Dave's house, I made a 4th shit. Thank God he has a bidet because it was a little loose. I wanted to say it was like a 5 because I had to keep squirting my ass because it was like putting a magic marker to a piece of paper when I was wiping. It just kept going and kept going. And I was like, what the fuck? Oh. What a mess.
I did not hear that.
I got in and got out.
Yeah, you did. You were stealthy.
Yeah. That full bladder was like pushing the poo-poo out. So
wow.
we'll be surprised if I poop again today, but 4 in one day.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Shit. All right.
So everybody, note to self, if you're constipated, eat a cucumber that's a little suspect.
Yeah, that's almost rotten. No.
Yeah, I cut the rotten parts off. That's why
Look, I was going to eat the rotten parts. Fuck it.
I was like, this looks a little old, but I'll just cut this off and it's fine. It's fine. It'll work. Why I needed that cucumber, God only knows.
Yeah, you know, you're trying to be healthy.
Hey, kept me loose.
Well, look, it worked. You went to the bathroom 4 times. That's a good amount in one day.
Yes, better out than in.
Yes.
For sure.
FartVac is the world's first fart vacuum and filtering system for your farts.
Using a hand air pump with activated carbon filter, FartVac reduces the stench of your flatulence.
Take responsibility and reduce your fart smells. You can now fart without shame.
FartVac also makes a great gag gift for those gassy people in your life.
No more pain while fighting nature and holding in gas.
Join the proud movement to embrace your body's natural functions with FartVac.
Use discount code HeyPoopy for $2 off at fartvac.com or search FartVac, FARTVAC, on Amazon for purchase.
So, Amy, tell us a little bit more about yourself besides your poo.
Yeah, so I work for New York City based nonprofit that talks about poop every day. It's part of my bread and butter every day. I've been interested in poop for many, many years. For over 10 years, I've been working in this water resource infrastructure sphere, and predominantly the issue of interest that I investigate and focus on is combined sewage overflow. Do poopy listeners know about this? Has this been a topic on the show in the past?
We've discussed.
We've talked about it a tiny bit when like the rain is really bad. If it's a super rainy day, you can't go swimming in the ocean because
the backup.
But you probably know a lot more than we could ever.
It's an issue that happens basically anytime it rains in New York City. The waterways receive raw sewage in the form of what's known as combined sewage overflow, or CSO for short. And it's the largest ongoing source of pollution to New York City's waterways. And the reason why we have combined sewage overflow is because of the way in which our sewer infrastructure is designed. So my background's in engineering and landscape architecture.
Oh, nice.
And that's kind of what I bring to the table in the advocacy work that I do, which is really looking at how we can resolve raw sewage flows into our waterways. And this is happening not just in New York City, but most cities along the coast, the East Coast and in the Midwest. A lot of the post-industrial cities have combined sewage overflow issues. And it's really, at the time in which they were designed, about 150 years ago, it was like peak technology. And the idea was that you could send sanitary flows, so anything that you flush in the toilet, anything from your home, all the sanitary waste, and stormwater flows, which are basically water that comes from buildings and streets, and it's just the runoff that you see typically going to the catch basins and the streets and street intersections. And so everything goes into one pipe, and then that pipe takes all the water to the wastewater treatment plants. And on a normal day, the wastewater treatment plant cleans everything and safely discharges it back into the waterways. As our cities have grown and we've increased the number of impervious surfaces, or roadways, buildings, things that can't infiltrate water, we have increased stormwater flows entering the system. So anytime it rains, I think it's less than a quarter inch of rain can trigger a combined sewer overflow.
Oh, wow.
And
Quarter inch?
a
That's
quarter
nothing.
inch. It's nothing. And so it's basically anytime it's raining, you can expect that there is some poop in our water.
Wait, in our water, not drinking water, but
In our open waterways.
okay.
And that, it's gross. It's so gross. It's about 20 billion gallons a year in New York City alone.
Wow.
That's how much raw sewage is entering our waterways.
That's crazy.
So it's a huge issue, obviously, because these are places where you have contact with the water, recreation, people wading in the water, kayaking, and so that's why there's advisories. If it's like a rainy day, you're not supposed to go swimming in many of the waterways. And it's a particular challenge in smaller water bodies like the Gowanus Canal or Newtown Creek, which is in my backyard. I live in Greenpoint.
I do too. We must be neighbors.
We must be neighbors.
I used to live in Greenpoint.
I love Greenpoint, and I love the wastewater treatment plant in Greenpoint. It's an amazing infrastructural feat. But yeah, so in like the larger waterways like the East River, there's a lot more tidal influence and freshwater flow, or water flow that dilutes the sewage. But where you have less tidal influence, you have stagnant sewage that's sitting in the canal, in the Newtown Creek. It's a huge issue for the people that live adjacent to these waterways. And my work really looks at ways in which we can counteract this environmental issue that is certainly a concern for human public health and safety. The odors are not so great.
Yeah.
The aesthetics are not good. I think one visual thing that you could refer your listeners to, if you Google Poonami Gowanus Canal, it's during a rain event. It's a really intense sewage overflow event that's captured, and you can sort of see the brown water flowing into the canal.
Oh my
That is...
For any sort of pitch about combined
No.
Okay.
It's nasty.
That's disgusting, but Dave, field trip. When next time it rains, I want to see the Poonami.
I mean, when I used to live in Greenpoint, this is before the treatment plant was like done. I don't think it hadn't been started yet. And there was certain days where the smell in Greenpoint was just insane.
Really nasty. And anyways, what we do to sort of like help alleviate the burden on the sewer infrastructure is, trying to get the city to put more green infrastructure or gray infrastructure in place. And when I say green infrastructure, what I mean is you've probably seen these all over New York City. They're like little patches of green space. They almost look like a tree pit, but they don't have a tree in them. They're called bioswales or rain gardens. So the idea is that they'll capture a lot of the stormwater flow. So instead of it going into the catch basin and then overwhelming the system and triggering a combined sewage event. The water, infiltrates the soil and takes care of the plants and serves multifunctional benefits. It's much prettier than a parking lot or a parking space,
Oh yeah. So, wait, are those things? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Are those the same things that are like on the West Side Highway over near the piers? Those like sort of like popping out of the water. I don't know if they're. It's like a park.
Over the city. The city actually made a pretty substantial investment in green infrastructure to counteract combined sewage events. They invested about $1 billion. So to put these green like little patches in place, so they're all over the city.
Okay, cool. Now. That's amazing.
But there's not a lot of it's sometimes hard to tell what they are. They're often, mistaken as just
Oh, we lost you.
Them as infrastructure, I guess.
But that is interesting though. I love the fact that I had no idea that those things were put in by the city to do that for rain.
Yeah, it's a challenging issue because basically the pipe infrastructure, it's, I think, like hundreds of miles of pipes below our feet. And this is really the way we kind of design a lot of the infrastructure that deals with our waste. And it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
That's been historically the way in which we plan for, to deal with our water, to deal with our waste. And I think it makes a lot of sense, but because we can't interact or see this infrastructure, we don't recognize the problems and the problems that we, in fact, contribute to every day. So, I mean, one thing that you can do as an individual to sort of counteract the issues of combined sewage is if it's raining, don't take a shower. Try not to feel it. If it's yellow, let it mellow.
Right.
So you can sort of do, an individual behavioral change to sort of help alleviate contributions to the combined sewage issues.
So if it's raining outside, it's best to go outside and just shower naked on the
Yeah.
I think that's the general advice. Yeah.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, I might take a pass on that one.
Yep.
I didn't even think about that though. Yeah, taking a shower or flushing your toilet during a rain. I mean, I did that yesterday, so I apologize.
Well, you didn't know. You just.
I know. Now I know.
But yeah, we had quite a bit of rain yesterday. So, generally after a big rain event, you probably don't want to have too much direct contact with the water for at least 24 to 48 hours.
Oof, yeah.
Till a lot of the sewage is flushed out of the system. But, it's a big issue. It's both to the public health and safety, and it's an environmental contaminant. It causes all sorts of issues for any wildlife living in the waterways, and you just don't want poop in your water.
No, you don't. I mean, I learned it the hard way.
We have those Hershey Kisses here at Newtown Creek.
Yeah.
That are also called the shit tits. You need them to do their job.
Yeah.
Newtown Creek, the infrastructure around Newtown Creek is partly what brought me to New York. I was so inspired by the way New York City was kind of thinking about infrastructure, and I love the Newtown Creek wastewater treatment plant for many reasons, but one of which is the fact that it's thinking about waste or poop as a resource. So they actually do resource recovery with the biodigesters, where they're able to use the byproducts that are generated in wastewater treatment processes for other things, fertilizer, energy. I think that that's a really important way of thinking about counteracting some of the issues that we have today. But I also love the Newtown Creek treatment plant because they have a nature walk that's designed around it. And I think it's one of the most beautiful parks in New York City. And it does really kind of put the infrastructure in your face. You can see it, you can interact with it, and all of the industrial land uses that are in New York City, there's many of them that are way worse to live next to or to be, interacting with that aren't wastewater treatment plants. There's not a lot of contaminants that of concern around a wastewater treatment plant. So it totally makes sense to use that extra space for a park and to sort of celebrate industry and infrastructure.
I heard of that. There's actually a Twitter or an Instagram, you can correct me, of if you wanted to volunteer to help clean up the Newtown Creek Park. that there are like people who do that too.
Yep, there's a lot of different organizations that do work around Newtown Creek. Newtown Creek Qleanse has a lot of stewardship-based programs that are everything from water quality sampling to stewarding bioswales or rain gardens, the green infrastructure that can kind of help with the stormwater flows that contribute to combined sewage. And yeah, I would definitely encourage folks to get involved. It's great to sort of, take ownership of your community resources, and infrastructure is certainly one of them. So the other thing that I feel like I have to mention is that you guys must be aware of the tour that they do.
I'm dying to
Oh,
be
yeah.
part of it.
We know about this.
No idea. I tried to get on the wait list last year and failed, and then I literally went there and I was like, what do I have to do? And they were like, you'll have to just try for next year on Valentine's Day, and then pandemic.
I know it was like a virtual tour this year, but it's like an amazing tour. Ellen, I could probably pull some strings for you.
Yeah, that would be.
Field trip.
That would make her day. I mean, I definitely want to go too, but Ellen's been talking about this forever.
Ever.
So this would be great.
Half a mile from it. I'm like so close.
Yeah, you need to get in there.
I feel like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I'm just waiting for my golden ticket.
Your brown ticket.
Your brown ticket.
I have a couple of questions.
Oh, I have
So,
too.
well, we have, yeah. And I know a long years ago, Vice magazine did a whole article, not article, it was on YouTube or something like that, about the Newtown Creek and like how it's just like, super polluted and all that stuff like that. And I mean, has it gotten better? Like as far as the cleanup wise, I heard with the whole oil, there's like some oil spill. Now, I guess it's Vice, so it's sensationalist journalism sometimes too. But like there was this whole thing that they said there was a oil slick around the size of Chelsea in Manhattan underneath. Is that still like a thing?
It's still a thing. It's one of the most contaminated, waterways in America. Both that and Gowanus Canal. We're so lucky in New York City, and they're both undergoing what's the Superfund cleanup process. So that is going to certainly help improve the water quality and eliminate a lot of the historical contaminants that are in the waterway, which a lot of that is just the byproduct of industry.
Yeah.
And this is, again, how we sort of treated our waterways 150 years ago. It wasn't seen as an asset. Now everybody wants to live next to these
it's crazy
waterways. But 100 years ago, it was kind of like a way to discharge our waste products. So Newtown Creek especially has hundreds of years of like manufactured gas plants, paper mills, a lot of different industrial uses that were highly toxic and discharging all of their waste, which basically sits at the bottom of the creek.
Right, all the sediments
And then on top of that, the city also discharges their waste into it. So you have poop as an ongoing source of pollution. And with the Superfund process, which is a long, drawn-out process, it's a lot of planning, a lot of like understanding of who contributed to what volume of pollution. And it's one of the only federal programs where polluters pay. It's not tax dollars that pay for the cleanup. It's the polluters that get a number, whatever their contribution was, and then there's a process that takes place to kind of clean up whatever the contaminant of concern is. So for Gowanus, the Superfund designation was about 10 years ago, and they just put machinery in the canal to start dredging contaminated sediment a year ago. So the planning alone took 10 years, and then
that's what I was going to say, because
dredging.
What I heard,
going through a similar thing, but a longer process because it's 3 times the size of Gowanus and has a lot more potential polluters.
Yeah.
And 2 jurisdictions, you have Queens and Brooklyn, and it's a little bit more complicated. And the oil spill, a lot of these upland contaminants that are also contributing to ongoing pollution. So
that's what I was going to bring up too, because that's what I heard. Like there was, I forgot when it was signed into, like over 10 years ago, but a bunch of manufacturers, like let's just say Exxon or whatever, it's a bunch of gas, like they're basically saying like they were admitting to like, yes, this is we'll help clean this up, but it's not like we're not going to get sued for like any potential like lawsuits as far as like community health things, and like. And any extraction that could be used still is like still theirs. It's like property of or something like that. Which I was like, it didn't make any sense. But I'm like, I guess as long as they're cleaning this thing up, that's the kind of the main.
I heard, like, for everybody who's listening, if you don't know Greenpoint, Brooklyn, it's the most northwestern part of Brooklyn in New York City, and it's actually like surrounded by two waterways, the East River and the Newtown Creek. And I've heard stories. It's a very Polish neighborhood, but I've heard stories that there are old Polish people, thanks to the oil spill, who got cancer because of it.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of studies that are ongoing, and now that the cleanup planning and efforts are underway, there is a lot more active monitoring that's happening. So there are air monitors and water monitors kind of looking at contaminants of concern, and when it exceeds a certain threshold, there are notifications that are generated. But yeah, it's a risk to live near I worry about it for myself because I go between Superfund to Superfund. I live and work around Superfund. But yeah, it's certainly a risk that we absorb every day, and you know, much of my work is advocacy to sort of like let's clean these things up.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's amazing you're doing that, by the way. I mean,
for access and, you know, proximity to water, let's be able to live here safely.
Can we back up? I have a question for you. You said that you've liked poop for at least 10 years, and then the Newtown Creek brought you to the city. So tell us your history of poop.
Yeah, so I'm from Michigan, and I, you know, lived and worked in Detroit for a while, it's a city that also has a combined sewage issue, and very different city politics and planning processes and complications and ways in which they're addressing the, you know, issue of combined sewage, which has always been my kind of bread and butter. But Detroit doesn't have the same resources that New York City does in terms of financial resources that they can sort of throw at the problem for infrastructure planning. And much of my research in grad school was looking at ways in which you could use vacant land in Detroit to absorb stormwater flows similar to the bioswales or rain gardens in New York City. So they could sort of infiltrate stormwater and you could alleviate the burden on the system that way. So
But still, back up. You're from Michigan, but what drew you to poop? You're an engineer.
Yeah.
So what was like you were in school and you were like, whoa, sewer systems seem really cool. Let me get into this.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I studied environmental science, and I think when I first learned about combined sewage overflow, I was just like, what? You know, like, poop is going into the water, and you know, being from Michigan, water is surrounding you.
Yeah.
It's so vital and important, and just like the fact that before the Clean Water Act was in place, which was policy that really like changed the way we treat our water resources and put some more regulation in place to prevent certain types of pollution. But I still was just like, wait, what year is it? You know, we still have raw sewage going into the waterways. So I think it was just something that really resonated with me early on, and then I just sort of found myself always at the water, environment, poop intersection. Like,
so you started with environmentalism with your engineering, and then poop like came colliding towards you.
Yeah. Certainly more about thinking about the green infrastructure, and you know, I'm a landscape architect, so it's like the design and planning of open spaces that can both provide numerous public benefit, but on top of that, help resolve water quality issues.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Yeah. I mean, especially I went to school in Buffalo, and my parents. So it's like you learn about Great Lake stuff, and then like in the past, how polluted everything was. I think was it Lake Erie? What was one that caught on fire?
Lake Erie.
Yeah, Lake Erie. Yeah, that's crazy. To this day, I still think about that. Like
the whole lake caught on fire.
Yeah, because it was so polluted.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like the late 70s, 80s, maybe, or something like that.
God,
Right?
what is wrong with humanity?
I know. It was right before, I mean, the Clean Water Act was really the federal policy that sort of was put in place. And that was kind of the catalyst, like Lake Erie catching on fire and
water on fire.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
It's so fucked up on so many levels. Wait, so what was I gonna ask? So do you think that this system, you said it was 100 years old. Do you think it was just put in place by a much smaller population than we have now? And then it was just stupidity because they didn't even think about environmental stuff. So, and now it's just like snowballed into the mess that we live in where lakes are on fire?
Pretty much. And actually, I think the thinking of the sort of combined system was that stormwater flows are also can be really polluted, anything coming from, especially like from roadways where you have like oil and whatever in the mix kind of entering the waterways. The idea behind a combined system was that, now you can sort of bring stormwater into the pipe and then treat it so that you're not...
Yeah, because we're not supposed to be gathering our own rainwater to drink. Like there's a problem. The trees and the plants can drink it, but human beings, it's not for consumption.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that I think cities have grown beyond what anybody would have predicted in certain places, and you have like just an urban footprint that exceeds the capacity of the pipe system that's in place. And it's a really static solution. Once you have a pipe underground, any adaptation or flexible way of modifying an issue as it comes into place is just not possible. It's not feasible because of all the other activities that are competing in an urban space. Whereas with green infrastructure, there is some flexibility there. There's a little bit more opportunity to sort of think about changing the design, adding certain elements that increase the performance capacity. And so I think I'm always thinking about my approach to design and planning is flexible, multifunctional, not such a eliminating this out of sight, out of mind mentality.
Right. Not so rigid.
Talk about our infrastructure.
Plus, we've learned on this show that poop is not the enemy. It's good for plants. It's just about how you can't just shit in your garden, but it's how you treat it and then put it in the plants and there's a reason why poop and plants in manure and everything exists symbiotically before us humans fucked it all up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we were sort of late bloomers to kind of getting the memo on a lot of these things. And I think we're seeing different approaches to planning now. And I think new policies being, put in place every day. Actually, I know you guys are not celebrating, but having a lot of talks about colorectal.
Awareness.
We're recording this in the month of March, which is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month.
Right. Yeah. It's also Monday was World Water Day, so I sat in on a couple of webinars about celebrating World Water Day, and this is kind of where we're shifting our mindset, thinking about circular infrastructure design. So instead of just end of pipe solutions, it's how do we think about reusing our waste? I think there's a lot of really great opportunity to do that. And in New York City, where we're seeing, development does not seem to be slowing down, we're going to consistently see changes to the landscape that include adding more development, for more people. So I think we really need to think not just about what we do in buildings. So what can we do with toilets? What can we do with fixtures? Composting toilets, water reuse systems within individual buildings. I think everything that we do should sort of be looking at these circular approaches, reusing our waste products. And we're still... The Clean Water Act was in place in the 70s, and here we are. We still have 20 billion gallons of poop going into the water.
Well, it's easy to make a mess. It's harder to clean it up.
For sure.
Exactly.
And to your note about recapturing and reusing and circular, design. We interviewed an author, Chelsea Wald, who has this amazing book, Pipe Dreams.
Yeah, I should email and introduce the two of you guys because very similar.
Yeah. And and it's great because she covers all types of stuff, international studies and people that are actually putting these things in place. And
That's awesome.
It's pretty fascinating, just what's going on right now. Yeah, it's a great book.
I would love to read it. I'm obsessed with poop infrastructure. I think it's I'm really excited to be here because I really do think that talking about poop, the hesitation to talk about it is part of the problem. And, especially in my work, I end up working with a lot of students and young people, and the best way to get them interested in engineering about water infrastructure is to talk about poop. I always show the Poonami video.
Oh my God, Poonami.
Email us that. I need to see the Poonami video. But like, poop is something that's disgusting. We all know, but it's hilarious, and it's also something that unites all of us. Like every single person on this planet poops. So I mean, it's a great equalizer. It's a great unifier. So,
but I also think it's something worth talking about because like it does affect on a sort of like health issue too. And no, you know, again, people don't want to talk about it, but it's like if you don't have these discussions, like it's just things are just going to get worse.
Yep, exactly. And this is how we got into this problem in the first
completely.
place. Talk about it. We don't look at our infrastructure. We don't want to see our waste.
Yeah.
And because we have that mentality deeply embedded in our, you know, culture.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you don't often see parks around wastewater treatment plants.
Right. Because people already like there was always an assumption. I mean, I get it too. It's like, you know, it's no one wants to smell it or be around it, but it's just like it's something that has to be kind of in your lexicon, at least as far as getting past the problems we're in right now. But
I can't pronounce that bridge in Brooklyn that connects Queens that the BQE runs over. It's like
Kosciuszko?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Not the Pulaski, but the other one that the BQE's on. But it goes over Newtown Creek, and they're making a new park under there. And I used to do photo shoots under the old bridge, and it would smell like the most evil smell. Like Newtown Creek smelled like I would take models there and they'd be like, oh my God. And I'm like, yes, just don't smell, but the location's incredible. But like, I heard that the new park there, it's better, but I like that there's that Instagram green pointers and they were like, the new park's coming soon. And I was like, I hope they could take care of that smell because nobody's going to forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That park I think it's a fast track state priority. I think we're going to see one of the fastest park design development properties in New York history.
It's amazing.
Great, which is great. And I think, you know, celebrating the waterfront and celebrating like the industrial history that we have, like it's a reality. And I think that we shouldn't hide kind of where we came from, and we should sort of have a realistic look at where we're going and where the opportunities are.
Totally.
You should never hide where you come from. You should learn from it.
Yes, indeed.
So you don't make the same mistakes.
Yep.
With everything.
True.
Good advice across the board.
Amy, can we ask you some of our normal questions?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yes. Okay, first, over or under, and what brand of toilet paper do you use?
Okay, so under pretty much always, and brand of toilet paper, it's a Greenpoint staple. Ellen, you must be familiar, both Ellen and Dave, you must be familiar with Panda.
Oh yeah.
Ah, we know Panda.
I've yet to actually use Panda yet, but I think it's my next show. I'm gonna buy some Panda just to check it out.
I think it's a really great product. I love it so much that, you know, you can typically find it in a lot of the Polish like grocery stores around Greenpoint, and there's like a newer grocery store that just moved in a block from us, and we like specifically requested that they carry Panda. My partner strongly support Panda, and you know, they've carried it, and all through the pandemic it was like the only brand of toilet paper that was never, you know, taken off the shelves. It was consistently there for us, you know, it helped us in our time of need. And
amazing.
I think you're the third guest we've had who's talked about Panda, so exciting. But also, Dave, high five.
Oh yeah, I'm an under too. I'm an under. So I'm very excited that you said that. Thank you.
Yep. I gotta put that on the list.
Yeah, we're a small but strong community of unders.
Yeah. And then when you wipe your butt, do you sit or stand?
I stand. I always.
You stand.
Wow. Okay. You're like really ticking out. You're like ticking off the little small fringe areas of this podcast. I love it.
No, I had no idea.
That's awesome, though. We loved it. This is why we asked
Yeah.
hard hitting.
I think you're like one of like 3 standers.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't imagine doing it any other way.
Also, Amy, what is your first memory of poops and farts as a kid? And this I'm dying to know because I feel like there was something that struck a nerve in you for such a kid. And then you were like, my engineering career and my childhood poop memories combined.
Right. Well, I think I guess the earliest memory that I have, I feel like my family and pretty much everybody I've been around in my entire life, we're all very comfortable talking about poop. All of my friends are very jealous that I am on the Poop Podcast today.
Excellent.
But I think one of the earliest memories that I had, I was trying to think of something funny. I had a very extensive collection of toy dolls, baby dolls when I was a kid, and my mom used to buy the infant sized diapers so that I could put them all in diapers, and which they were. And my mom loves to tell this story to basically anybody that will listen, but she just thinks it's so hilarious that I used to change their diapers, and every time I would take it off, I would be like, "Hey, you!" Dramatic experience.
That's hilarious.
That reminds me of when I had a baby. I had one of those baby dolls where you could feed it water and then it would pee out.
Yes.
And then because it was plastic, it got moldy inside. And I remember squeezing it to pee out, and blackness came out. And I was like, something's wrong with my doll. It's going.
Betsy, I think, was her.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, such a mess. And it would smell awful. And I was like, I guess this doll is for the garbage.
I wonder if that's still in circulation or if they've discontinued a Betsy Wetsy doll.
Yeah, Betsy Wetsy. I'm gonna guess they discontinued it because they're probably we're getting too many complaints about this.
Yeah, moldy inside.
That's disgusting.
What is your best cure for diarrhea and constipation, or constipation?
So
you never have diarrhea and constipation at the same time.
Either one or the other. Diarrhea, I would say peppermint tea or any sort of hot water, lemon kind of situation. Constipation, celery. I feel like celery is the most reliable.
Wow. Celery, okay.
Celery is a fantastic fiber.
It really is, and it's a negative calorie food too. So basically your body uses more energy to digest it than you consume, I guess. So miracle food, celery.
Yeah.
I do like celery. Nice. That's a good one.
It's very hydrating because it's all water.
Yeah, it's all water.
So it helps
crunchy.
The fiber and the water helps push everything through.
I know, we should all be eating more celery.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm all about it. And I don't know about you, Amy, but I love if you can find organic celery at a farmer's market, the greens. If you put those in a salad, they're so delicious. But at the grocery store, they only sell the celery with no greens,
No, you kind of get gypped. It's dogs.
Yes, I love the greens.
Me too. Whole plant.
And so what are your favorite products to use to help you poop? I'm assuming you are completely against baby wipes, knowing...
Yes.
Yeah, fatbergs.
You can educate the guests. I mean, not the guests. You're our guest. You can educate the listeners on why baby wipes are horrible.
Yeah. Baby wipes contribute to fatbergs in the sewer systems. Another blockage that's making these pipes that are so much work for us already even more overburdened. So do not use baby wipes. And I don't know if you know this, but the baby wipe industry has very powerful lobbyists that are fighting tooth and nail to tell you that they still stay safe for flushing. Packaging. That is not true.
It's BS.
Not true.
Any kind, do not flush a single baby wipe. Buy yourself a Tushy. They're what, $100? So
yeah.
Get a bidet, people.
Yeah, we both have those.
And if you have to use a baby wipe, straight into the garbage.
Yep, straight into the garbage.
Yeah.
If you have a baby.
Yep.
You can throw it in.
Isn't it a crazy world we live in where the baby wipe industry has lobbyists?
I know.
It's just, that's how nothing gets done. Lobbyists are the worst. And I'm sorry if you're a lobbyist and you're sure making a very good living, but it's just really, man, this is your job.
No, if you're a lobbyist, call into the show and tell us, we would love to know And if you're a poop lobbyist, we like you even more.
If you're a baby wipe lobbyist, maybe you could donate some of the money that you receive, and you'll feel a little better about yourself to this show.
Exactly.
Donate to this show.
Amy's cleanup.
Yeah, to Super Fund or something.
But any other besides your bidet products? Sprays.
I'm a big fan of the Aesop post poo drops. Like,
Ooh.
they're like fancy poo drops. So like they just like look good sitting in the bathroom, but they really help. They do their job.
Wow, Aesop.
Yeah, Aesop.
Okay,
I don't
cool.
know that brand. We'll have to look.
Never heard of it.
It's like fancy schmancy skincare and like products, but I'm a sucker for that sort of thing.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Hey, our pooping does not have to be not fancy. We can fancy it up with bidets and sprays and all this stuff, as long as it's good for the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, Amy, we're going to get deep.
Okay.
This is our favorite question on the show, the one that makes and breaks our guests. If you have Bristol 7 coming out fast and furious and there's zero toilet in sight, do you poop in your pants or somewhere on the floor?
I think that I would go. I thought about this, Ellen, like long and hard, and I think that I would go with pants. I think I would go because I feel like you could sort of easily contain everything. Like there's less of a like dispersed mess, so you can sort of. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be like some temporary.
Oh no, it's not gonna be fun at all.
But potentially you could walk away discreetly, and then like the cleanup job will be that much easier.
Agree.
Agreed. See, my only
There's no wrong answer.
yeah, there's definitely no wrong answer because like it depends on circumstance where you are.
Right. Totally.
We've all been there. We've all done both.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god,
It's true.
that panic sets in. Oh my god.
And follow-up question, has it happened to you?
It has not happened to me. I'm so ashamed. I was like, I wish I had a pooping my pants story, but I don't.
I think you're the first person to say that. I wish I had a poop in my pants story. I love it.
Well, Amy, never say never. On this show, this is one thing we have learned.
Yeah.
You guys will be the first to know.
Please.
Please. Please. Document everything.
Oh my god. It's so good.
Fair enough.
Verbally document.
Well, that's I mean, like, this congratulations, by the way. That's fantastic. I wish everybody.
Eating lots of celery.
I mean, for this show, we love shit your pants stories, but hey, more power to you.
I mean, she did come to us with a lot of education on the environment and the sewer, so
Yeah, that made up for your.
outweighs like
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I do have a good, like poop-related embarrassing story.
bring it.
I didn't poop my pants, but I thought it would. I was trying to think about the best, most hilarious story, and I guess like the time that my mom gave the entire town that I grew up in diarrhea.
She's like, as a gift? No. She's like, hey everybody.
So my parents, like we live in like a small like farming town in Michigan. That's where I'm from, and every year we have a harvest festival, which is like a party that everybody comes to, and my mom makes a lot of the food, including the infamous at this point tuna noodle casserole.
Oh, say no more.
Noodle casserole made a star appearance, and it just happened to be the year that I also brought my boyfriend at the time, and a couple of my friends like came from out of town to enjoy the harvest festival, and it was like everything was fine and hunky-dory at the party itself, but then literally like clockwork, 24 hours later, everybody had returned home, party was over. I received like a few texts from a couple of my friends that were there, and my boyfriend and I were both sort of feeling a little bit like yucky, and then all of a sudden it was like boom, explosions out of all ends. Everybody had like the most horrific experience. I think like 30 people reported having it was like a mini pandemic. I could have probably reported it to the CDC or something. I don't know.
Wait, so how did you know your mother was patient zero?
Well, I think so. and my mom will swear up and down that it was not her tuna noodle.
Just in the name of tuna noodle casserole, I would be like, yeah, that's
I don't even know what she thinks it is. She thinks that somebody else touched the food and it created the issue, but like everybody who thinks about the tuna noodle casserole immediately gets like, oh, like like you have to like lava. You know what triggered it. But it was like the survey of people that were at the party was like, did you eat the tuna noodle casserole? Yes or no? If you did, you definitely were shitting and puking for hours.
Yep.
No. You guys, I am talking about shitting and puking. I'm literally about to pee my pants. Can you give me 2 seconds?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am back from the bathroom and here to announce I just shit for the 5th time.
Wow. I figured you were... Which is still, I mean, you were gone a little bit longer than I expected, but I was like, oh, she's taking a shit, but it's also still very quick. Like,
it was ready to come out.
I mean, really, I just see Ellen has this amazing ability to go to the bathroom so fast.
I just let it, like, when it's ready, it's ready.
It's ready.
And I literally did not think I had to poo. I just thought I had to pee. And I peed right before we started recording, so...
You're just evacuating everything.
I'm a mess.
Oh.
As everybody who listens to the show knows,
yeah.
I am a fucking mess of a human being.
No.
Oh my God.
Literally a cesspit living inside of my body.
Ellen's got a lot of ups and downs with her movements.
Yeah, I am a mess. It's surprising I'm still alive.
Well, look, 5 shits today. That's pretty amazing.
Well, applaud me for that. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Hold on. Let me...
Applause.
Here we go.
You would think I'd be like 10 pounds lighter. Nope.
Oh, wow. Well, I think this is a good segue to go into some news.
Yeah. Oh, unless Amy wants to share anything else with us.
I think that was most of my poop related content.
Nice.
All kind of came.
That was your purge.
Well,
Awesome.
We are so glad that we met you and you could educate us.
Yeah.
Me too.
And
It's really great to be on the show and to meet you both. Thank you for having me.
Well, we have one segment left. This was a news story sent to us, I think, by Ellen. But let me play the little theme song for that, and then we'll get into that. Okay, so this, I think Ellen sent me this story. It was reported by Alice Barnes Brown, and it basically involves a park in Japan called the Iramote, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, island. So it's like kind of like a nature preserve. Like it's at the southernmost tip of Japan, actually closer to Taiwan than Tokyo, and they get a ridiculous amount of visitors going to check it out. It's beautiful. Like the photos. I mean, I know this is an audio podcast, but it's just like imagine like a lush, like garden type of like atmosphere with like water and just like green and just beautiful sand beaches, sandbars. So anyway, because of this problem of so many visitors, people are just pooping left and right because there's no bathrooms. You have to canoe out. Like I think they were saying somewhere in here, I forgot how many kilometers, but like basically, and it's also, it's surrounded by like 650 miles of ocean. So it's not like when you get there, it's remote. Like you can't just like hop on like your bike and I'm going to go to the bathroom. You have to canoe out or hike like way into like this area to get to like any kind of bathroom of any sort. So most people just pull up a rock, push a brush aside and just take a dump. But because of that, and there's so many people that it's washing off into the water and causing all kinds of issues. So they're like,
it sounds like we have your next place after you fix New York.
Yeah. Well, no, they've fixed this problem. What they decided to do was, with meetings and infrastructure and some money, they figured out they have these little like sort of portable tent toilets. So they have these little tent toilets set up, and then every time like a tour, because most of the people that are visiting are going it's part of a guided tour. So usually it's like a group of people at once. They go there and they're sort of like given a little lesson about how to use it. They give them like a little disposable bag that you take with you. So you basically hook it onto this little zipper tent. You go inside, put it on a little portable toilet, and you do your business and you bring the bag with you, you take it out with you. And so there's no actual mess because they're having the same problem on what is the name of, not Mount St. Helen, the one everybody climbs up on. This is obviously going to be edited.
Picchu?
Not Machu Picchu.
Mount Everest?
Mount Everest. Yes, thank you. What is wrong with me today? Mount Everest have the same problem where they're airlifting out poop because there was so much stuck up there over the years that, and they're actually, that Mount Everest, I think they were actually giving out like monetary, they're giving you money to bring your poop back down.
Oh my god!
And your pee, because like that's this whole problem with this whole little area. So basically, this whole thing started with the tent toilets around 2018. They're still there, and the waste bags, like they're just carted away. So you're kind of leaving no mess. But the fact that you have a little privacy now, people can kind of, and they don't have to feel like, oh my god, I got to find a spot to go to the bathroom. It's not outside because they're also, obviously animals that live there, so they're pooping as well. Mm-hmm. But our bacteria is way worse. To the environment. So yeah, this is like a cool little thing, which I'd imagine would be used in a bunch of other parks around the world.
Yeah, I'm curious what they do with the poop. Where does it go?
Oh, I think so if the three of us were on a tour, we'd have our own little bags. We poop in that thing. We have to bring that back with us, and I guess I just chuck it out. Like throw it out somewhere. It's a whole, and the bag's biodegradable apparently. They just don't want that stuff in that area getting into the waterways, the ground soil. So because people are also peeing there too, so you have a whole setup now that you bring with you.
Another reason why mankind should not, like, these sound like beautiful environmental places, and then we go there for tours and then fuck shit up, you know?
Right, yeah.
And that whole Mount Everest thing, don't even get me started. Like, I hate everybody who goes on that. You pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and 1 out of 10 people will die. Yeah. And then they just leave your dead body up there. It's like, it's insanity. Insanity. Right. So
real quick,
as I always, what happened?
I was going to say, like, you're asking the question, like, they're saying each bag costs about $5.50, and incinerating, I guess they incinerate this stuff. That's what they do with it. But that becomes even more expensive. So they're thinking about implementing some more fees or higher fees to actually go to the park. And apparently there's only like 25 like rangers or like people that are actually working for this park. So they're trying to figure out like what to do. But the bag thing is working as far as cleaning everything up. It's just there's a little bit more of a cost to like having the bags now and the tents.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I love this tents around New York for homeless people. Like,
yeah,
we need something better for that. 1 and 2, people leave a place better than you came.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always.
People are the worst.
What were you going to say, Amy?
Oh, I just thinking about like portable pooping, and I'm a designer and interested in like infrastructure design specifically, and I'm just like, why isn't there a better solution to the porta potty? Like a better design, both in terms of like aesthetics and like comfortability but also
cleanliness.
Yeah, cleanliness, everything. I feel like if I had some spare time, maybe someday I could
build a better porta potty for sure. They're evil.
Well, there's those Bill Gates toilets. They're terribly expensive, but like the byproduct is water and energy. Like we just need to get that price point down, and then the porta potties could be those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, with all that, Amy, thank you so much for being on our show. You were amazing, and thanks for bringing all the knowledge, education. Thanks for what you're doing with this whole Superfund sites. It's pretty incredible.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to email you, Amy, with 2 people, Kim from Flush, who's been on the show, and then Chelsea, who wrote that book, and yeah, you will love them. I feel like the 3 of you are like-minded people.
Yeah.
So Kim, actually, her and I were on a panel together.
Oh, Kim?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, she's the best.
That's great.
And then you have to send us the Newtown Creek water treatment plant connection.
Yes.
I need that tour.
Desperately.
Get you in there. It's like shameful that you haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
I have tried.
Yeah, we have to get in there. And actually, for our listeners, where can they find you, or in the work you're doing? Like, where can we, see you?
Well, so Gowanus Canal Conservancy. So if you want to do something and tell your elected officials about infrastructure issues that you're passionate about, cleaning up the poop in our waterways, Riverkeeper and NRDC have a website called Cut the Crap, and you can sort of fill out form letters that immediately generate letters to your elected officials to kind of talk about infrastructure, current issues and policy-related concerns that are combating water quality and combined sewage overflow issues.
Excellent. All right. Go do it, people. But again, thank you so much.
Out of our oceans. Thank you so much, Amy, and happy pooping, everybody, and enjoy your butthole.
Hey Poopy Podcast is brought to you by Perfect 4 Entertainment, produced by Dave and Ellen, with executive producer Stormy Leather, edited by me, Dave.
For more information, go to heypoopypodcast.com for episodes, merch, and more. Follow us on Instagram at Hey Poopy Podcast and Twitter at Hey Poopy. Theme song by Jordan Perlson. Hey Poopy.